Welcome to JUCO Jam. I'm Nick Nielsen. This is season 2, episode 11. With me, as always, is the great junior college knowledge of Brandon Goebel. Brandon, what a great week of junior college basketball we had.
It was made better by the receipt, as you'll notice, of the Richland Thunder Ducks swag, winner of the coolest mascot in junior college poll. And realistically, if you're the coolest mascot in junior college, you're probably the coolest mascot in any sport, if we're being honest.
Right, and the mascot is named Mobius.
How cool is that? His name is
That,
Mobius, and he's a duck.
yeah, shout out to athletic director Dr. Lynn Nobby, right? So
100%.
that's great. We appreciate the Thunder Duck swag, and we'll continue to wear it proudly. Well, let's talk some stuff about other things than Thunder Duck hoops, which we'll get into later in the show. We had a great week of basketball. I guess we can talk about things other than Mobius. And I think the logical place to start is two of the most tradition-rich programs in junior college basketball. Tuesday night in Moberly, Indian Hills with a great victory, 81-79. Devontae Hall, big ticket. Is he big ticket or little ticket? I should ask Ross W. Oker. Russ W. Oker, I believe it's a big ticket, little ticket.
Middle
Anyhow,
ticket?
I think it was a big game from Little Ticket with 20 points. An even bigger game from Chris Impaka, 10 points, and he got all the rebounds.
All the rebounds.
22 rebounds. Trevion LeBeau had 18 points. I believe he gathered the other 8 rebounds in the game. Indian Hills, 23 turnovers, but they dominated on the glass, out rebounding the Greyhounds 47-25. Takeo Carpenter was fantastic for Moberly, especially early in the game, 21 points. Achille Evans, really a very skilled wing, 12, 6, and 6. And Moberly stayed in the game because they only had 8 turnovers. This was a really fun game to watch, played at a high level.
Yeah, I mean, this thing was a doozy. You and I were both watching at the same time and texting back and forth. The turnover bug came this close to getting Indian Hills, but when you hit the glass as hard as they did, and by they I mean a lot of Chris Impaka saying, you know what, that ball's mine, so is that one. So is that one. You think that's yours? It's not, it's mine. It
22
just
times.
22 times. That is
times.
a lot. That is a lot of rebounds. Just one of those tough, hard-nosed rock fight kind of finishes. It was a fantastic game. Just another testament to how good junior college basketball is.
And Wednesday night was not a step backwards. We may have taken a step forwards. An incredible game out in Cali. Hutchinson gets a big win, 88-86. Valentino Simon with 20 and 14. Cameron Thomas, 15 and 7. Kobe Smith came off the bench with 20 and 7. And Hutchinson, not always known as a big rebounding team, out-rebounded a very physical Cali program, 46-33. Cali had a great game from Jeff Nwankwo, 33 and 5. Corey Thomas, 14 and 8. Arzante Dallas was 16. And Cali lost the game and only had 7 turnovers.
Wild. I mean, Jeff Nwankwo once again shows why he's, one of the best, maybe 5 players in the country in junior college this year. But, huge shout out to Coach Tommy DeSalma for the way that he has just made a lot of different adjustments this year. Last year we would talk about Hutch a lot and we would kind of, joke a little bit about like they're going to try and score 140. He's making adjustments in each of these games to kind of play not to the way that he wants to play, but the way that he needs to play. So that's just been super impressive to watch as they've been able to get wins in different ways. Mark of a great coach and mark of a great team. So
Because
big
he
point.
wants to turn that dial all the way up to 100.
Oh yeah,
What
no,
it
I'm
was,
sure.
you know?
I'm sure assistant coach Eric Schnitschke's sitting there going like, just hold on a second now.
Yeah.
Let's
Let's
we're
play at
doing we're
50.
doing fine.
Let's play at 50, just a little press, just a touch of press.
A little bit, a little
But
sprinkle.
definitely a transformation in the way Blue Dragons basketball is played. He certainly adjusted to his roster, which is what you would expect from a great coach.
100%.
Thursday night, we have 2 great programs going at it. CSI in a revenge game travels to Salt Lake. Salt Lake wins 76-64. The final score is really not probably indicative of the game. Salt Lake, just took the fight to CSI early. I think at halftime, CSI may have only had 11 points. I think it may have been 36-11 at halftime. I know Jordan Battle hit a three from about 50 feet to take it to halftime. Jalen Johnson led Salt Lake led CSI with 17-9. Jordan Battle 21-7 for Salt Lake. Xavier Edmonds with 12-6. I thought he was really good before he got ejected. And then Salt Lake out rebounded CSI 48-36. Michael Florin had 12 rebounds. I mean, CSI really seems to be clicking on all cylinders right now.
Yes, Salt Lake is clicking on all cylinders.
Salt Lake, sorry. Did I
CSI
mess that up? Lake.
CSI didn't click
Not
so
clicking on all cylinders.
not clicking on all cylinders the other night, though we'll talk a little bit later about what they did later in the week. But um, just one of those weird games. I mean, way too talented to come out and lay a massive egg like that. And again, you look at the final score and you're like, it's just a tough no, no, no. This wasn't close. I mean, this was right out of the gate. This is one of the few games I've ever had where somebody, I would say no less than 6 or 7 different people texted and said, "Is the score ticker broken on the website?" And I'm like, "No, that's what's going on right now." So they'll bounce back from it. They're a very good team. They're super, super talented, but big shout out to Salt Lake for, kind of saying, "Hey, we've had a couple ups and downs ourselves this year, and this is an opportunity for us to make a statement in this massive rivalry game." I mean, CSI Salt Lake's got to be one of the best 5 or 6 rivalries in junior college. And so they did that. And they are now kind of establishing themselves as really, really kind of set to be the powerhouse to take down here. And but CSI again talented, and they had another opportunity later in the week.
Yeah, and we'll get into that. Saturday, we had 5 big games, 5 big ones. We previewed this game last week, Vincennes Logan. I was kind of putting Vincennes on upset alert. And sure enough, Logan beat Vincennes 72-71 in overtime in Carterville, the house that the Smith Peters family built. LeBron Thomas with 25 for Vincennes, Michael Osei Bonsu with 21. Two shocking statistics. One has probably never happened in the Todd Franklin era. The Trailblazers only had 6 offensive rebounds, which is unheard of if you know Todd Franklin basketball. And then the other one, not so much of a surprise, but didn't hit a single three-pointer in the game.
And only took 4.
Only took 4. And I think probably to Coach Franklin's surprise and disappointment, they had guys that just didn't want to shoot open threes. My guess is as we're recording this, there's probably Trailblazers shooting open threes somewhere. But Logan, really good, played probably their best basketball game of the year. And I think it's a game that both teams really get up for. Julian Norris was really, really good. He had 24 points. A real nice game from RJ Walker, who had 12. And the big man, Elliot Lowndes, while maybe not a huge stat stuffer, was a real presence. And I thought had a nice game for Logan.
Yeah, he's starting to really come around. Recruitment has started to really pick up for him. And if we know anything about Coach Smith Peters, they're going to be playing their best basketball towards the end of the year here. So dangerous on any given night. Yeah, just kind of a weird game for Vincennes, and maybe the guys feeling themselves a little bit or something. And I guarantee after that game, Todd Franklin probably said something along the lines, but in a very compassionate, calm, and collected way of how do you feel now? And so, it's that time of year where the rubber meets the road. And so, Vincennes is going to be fine. There's somebody that's, got all the talent and the ability to win the whole thing. So just kind of one of those weird games. They'll move on to the next one, and I expect them to be, fine going forward.
Saturday proved to be a day when it wasn't easy to get road wins. And Eastern Florida, I think, fell into a little bit of similar situation as Vincennes. Two coaches that know each other really well. Eastern Florida, the Titans travel to Indian River. Indian River wins 83-71. Owen Okino really kept the Titans in the game in the first half. He ended up with 29 points. For Indian River, they were without their leading scorer, who's averaging 26 a game. Michael Sanchez says, no problem. I'll come in, I'll drop 27, hit 8 out of 15 threes. Kyle Brown with 21. Jay Shine Woodard almost put up a triple double, 8 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. Um, sometimes you have those games when you just don't shoot the ball well. Maybe the energy level's not there. But Coach Morosco, a Jeremy Schulman disciple, sometimes when you have two coaches that know each other really well, these things happen. But Indian River is a good team, not a bad loss by any stretch of the imagination.
Yep. Onakino still proved once again why he's in my top three for National Player of the Year. We sent a bunch of stuff out on Michael Sanchez on Friday. So he made us look real smart. So appreciate that, buddy. But yeah, just great game. And look, Indian River is loaded, loaded. And they were without their leading scorer. They've just got talent all up and down that roster. So, 12-point loss on the road, not a bad one by any means. Eastern Florida is still having a great year. They are loaded as well. These are two teams that you would love to see in Hutch, along with, two or three more from
We just go
region.
to 32. Can we just go to
Can
32?
we just go to 32? We just go to
Come
32.
on, Chili's. We need a
Um,
sponsor. Let's go.
we get Chili's to sponsor the additional cost of going to 32 teams. I think that might be the power move, but that's not for us to decide. So Schulman's team's going to bounce back. They're super, super talented. It's just a tough road game against a really, really talented team. Coach Morosco had them ready to go, especially after taking the loss last time. So, it's on to the next one.
And speaking of on to the next one, Butler traveled to Hutch, and Butler defeats Hutch 85-74 in the sports arena. Charles McClanahan Jr. was 17 and 8. Jocko Slurton with 22, hitting 9 out of 10 free throws, which I love. Hutch was led by Cameron Thomas with 21 and Valentino Simon 14 and 8. This gets Butler right back in the mix, right? I mean, they're one of four teams who has a legit shot at getting one of those at-large bids.
Yeah, they needed this one. This was an opportunity for them. They took advantage. They got the win. Super talented Hutch team, super talented Butler team. And kind of just went toe to toe, and Butler just got this one tonight. But you know, we look at this game here, 85-74. This was beautiful basketball at times. This was high flying action. And then let's go ahead and why don't you intro the next one for us, Nick?
Yeah. In contrast, I will say in full disclosure, we predicted this, right? We knew that this was going to be a rock fight, and whatever the line came out,
Or like a brick fight.
we were both going to take the under, right? Whatever the line was, we were going to go under. And Chipola 45 at Northwest Florida 41. I cannot even imagine how mad Coach Steve DeMayo is probably right now because the team shot 12 out of 53 from the field. That's 23%, 4 out of 21 from three, which is 19%. Um, it was tough to watch, to be honest with you. It was tough.
This was a score that would make Tony Bennett blush. So
it was really it was tough to watch, and I think whenever this time of year when you see teams that have played each other multiple times, the scoring always goes down. um you just wouldn't expect it to go down this much. But obviously Chipola, Coach Donnie Tyndall, they're going to lock people up defensively. I mean, uh, three times, I don't like the fact that they play each other three times. I don't think it's right. Let's play each other twice, and let's make sure you play all the citrus teams twice as well. Let's shake it up. I think
right.
the time for Panhandle evolution is here, and if you don't believe it, I think 45-41 is the proof. About the kids, Dante Walker had 19, led Chipola, which if you think about scoring 19 out of 45, that's kind of like equivalent to having a 40-point game on a regular night.
Dominating.
Dominated with a 19 spot. Thank goodness for Tyrese Elliott for Northwest Florida. He chipped in 12. If he wasn't there, it would have I don't know, been unimaginable what the final score would have been. So, do you have anything positive to say about this game other than it came to a conclusion?
I do. Antonio Baker Jr. missed most of the first half of the season with an injury, a little bit up and down coming back, but I think kind of going towards conference tournament play. That's a guy that teams really need to watch out for. He's a freshman that we expect big things from next year, and so him being able to come back now at the right time, chipped in 10 there for him, which you say, yeah, 10 points, whatever. They only scored 45. He scored a good number of their points, so somebody to watch out for sure. And seeing him getting going will probably make Donnie Tyndall a little happier than he was when his team scored 45.
I will say that I don't know that Donnie Tyndall cares that they scored 40
Probably not,
because they
honestly, knowing
won,
him.
which
Yeah.
is really all that matters. Whether you win 98 to 96 or 45 to 41, a W is a W. They've won 2 out of 3 against Northwest Florida now. Road team won all 3 games of that series,
How
and
about that? That
which is
can't happen often when
no. And now Chipola, they control their own destiny. Let me ask you a theoretical question. Chipola wins the Panhandle.
Mhm.
Are they automatically getting a spot in the as an at large, no
You
matter what
have to.
happens in the tournament?
You have to. I mean, like within the context of junior college basketball and um how everything if you don't see that, then you're just not really paying attention to the holistic picture of junior college basketball. It is what it is. It's like
Let me
saying,
let me let me contrast that. If Daytona State wins the Citrus, they squeeze the Big Orange, and they also lose in the first round. Are they automatically getting an at large? Are you saying if both Citrus winner, Panhandle winner, automatic at larges, regardless of what happens in the state tournament?
fortunately for Daytona, they've probably done enough at this point that they um, are going to be fine either way.
I think
Uh,
the answer is yes as well. I think
yeah,
they
the
both get
answer
in
is yes.
regardless.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is where a larger tournament would be great to kind of expand and we want to see the most deserving teams and we get you and I get yelled at all the time by
We can
how
take it.
are we not getting more love? And it's like, well,
Yeah.
at some point, sometimes it's like comparing the SEC and the SoCon. Like it's not, there's nothing wrong with the SoCon. We love the SoCon.
Yeah.
We want all the SoCon, but at the end of the day, it's just different, right? And so we want the best teams, and I mean, if you're going to tell me that Chipola and Daytona are not two of the best 25 or 32, whatever it is, teams in the country, what it would be, 32 teams, well, you're wrong. So,
And another interesting story here. Our next game, CSI and Snow. CSI a couple weeks back lost at North Idaho. Salt Lake gets them pretty good earlier in the week. This was a really important win. They win at Snow 85 to 71. CSI is 7-2 in the Scenic West. So, I mean, I think that still makes them relevant, even potentially going down the stretch, getting an at large. Could be a bit of a stretch, but I think it's a possibility. Asim Jones had a rough night versus Salt Lake. Good game versus Snow with 19. Jalen Johnson, who's kind of their rock of Gibraltar, chipped in 12. Kason Carpenter, who's a really athletic wing freshman, 11 points, 3 out of 5 from three. And then I know one of your favorite players in the country, Max Triplett from Snow, 20 and 15. He's just had a really good season.
yeah, Max just keeps showing up every night, showing why he's one of the best front court players in the country. And, not that I need to carry water for CSI. I mean, it's CSI. They carry their own water. But they're 18-7 against Division I teams. They're 4-4 against ranked teams. We don't have quad ones and stuff like that in junior college, but they would have a good number of quad one wins and things like that. And 7-2 in the Scenic West. The Scenic West is really good, so um, it's just again, it's just different. Like some teams play in the league they play in and the amount of talent that's around them and all that sort of thing on any given night, CSI could beat anybody in the country. Now, unfortunately for them, this year they've also shown that they could probably lose to almost anybody. They did have a lot of injuries early on. It wasn't until halfway through the season that they had, their whole roster back, but that's not everybody else's fault. That's their fault. So, um, a team that is like you said, probably on the outside looking in as far as an at-large goes right now. But hey, get to work and do some get some big wins here, even if you lose in the championship game of the Scenic West or in the district tournament or something like that, like they might have a chance. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
we have
pity
this
for the
really
way they
weird
do.
yeah, we have this really weird cluster, and it happens every year. You
Yeah.
have this weird cluster between 8 and 18. And all the teams have between 3 and 6 losses, and they kind of look a lot alike. And
Yeah.
there's going to be some teams that play themselves into the tournament. There's going to be other teams that play themselves out of the tournament. And I think as long as you're in that mix, at this point, you still have a chance. That concludes the rewind. That was a lot of information. We're going to take a deep breath. We're going to transition right into the rundown. Monday night, South Plains, Clarendon. Clarendon was kind of on the outside looking in of even getting into the region tournament. Here we are now, Clarendon 6-4 in the Whack-Jack in West Texas, third place. A late surge, and we know how good Clarendon is at home. They're
Yeah.
good. This is their spot. Hunter Jenkins, he's in his element there. Is this the night it happens? Does South Plains go down at Clarendon?
I mean, this is probably one of the best opportunities anybody's had to knock him off. Dior Johnson is playing out of his ever-loving mind right now. So is Malik Ewan. Different positions. Not exactly going to square up very often in this thing, but um, South Plains is still without Jabari McGee for a little bit here. So missing him is big, but if anybody's going to be prepped for it and kind of playing, I mean, how about being undefeated number one team in the country, and you're probably playing with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder right now. And so,
That's probably great for Coach Sowers.
yeah, yeah. Well, I
It's
mean,
probably
you might ask him if he could have the alternative. He'd say yes before you even got a question out of your mouth. But um,
it's
you know,
probably good to keep the gap. I mean, you could see a team like this that's so talented could get bored a little bit down the
you gotta find
stretch.
something to rally around, right?
Exactly.
So, here's what you're gonna do. But yeah, Clarendon is like hell in a cell, right? I mean, it's there. I think there's about two rows of bleachers, and it's right behind the bench, and it's just chaos in the hot box in there. So
A lot of programs have come in, not many leave with a win.
not many leave.
Many enter, few leave.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So no, gonna be a great game. I mean, definitely eyeballs on this one. New Mexico has stumbled a little bit and kind of opened the door for some changing to the rankings there, and so we'll see what happens.
the interesting thing is by the time that this program is aired, the result of the game will already be known. So I feel like we should just record our answer to this both ways on what's going to happen in the game, and we can just edit out the wrong one. But we'll
Oh
we'll
man.
we'll
Yeah.
play it straight up.
You're not putting that on me, Ricky Bobby. I'm not making a choice in that one. I don't need text
Uh,
messages from Hunter or Hayden.
We love you both. Wednesday night, we got three big ones. Daytona State travels to Eastern Florida. Eastern Florida got them a road win early in the season. Eastern Florida's coming off a loss. Coach Schulman's going to have them dialed in. What a great game it's going to be down in Melbourne.
Yeah, how'd you like to say, hey man, tough one at Indian River, but you got a bounce back coming up this week. Oh, by the way, it's Daytona State. Like, what? Again, we talk about all these Florida teams. They can't all go to Hutch.
Right.
And
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 if you're not
so
ready, you're going to get it Yost way.
right. Yeah. You can have it Yo's way or no way, if he comes in there and starts lighting the nets on fire. So but Eastern Florida's got a couple pretty good players of their own. And that's a great environment to play in as well. And Joey Cantons does an unbelievable job. Coach Schulman does an unbelievable job. Tune into this game if you want to see like 14 to 16 future Division I players play on the court at the same time in Melbourne, Florida.
It's going to be a great one. A game that probably has more meaning now than it did maybe a week ago, but John Logan travels to the dungeon, takes on Olney Central. Coach Smith Peters has this group really going, surging at the right time. They could be a sleeper to win the region tournament and get back to Hutch. And then Olney Central has been really good. They've been very consistent all year, very guard laden team. Tough to win in the dungeon. Coach Jim Glash back on the sidelines after a brief hiatus. Should be a good one Wednesday night in Region 24.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of a classic matchup here. We talked earlier about Coach Smith Peters having his guys ready to play at the right time. They need to go get this one. They just need to kind of start believing in themselves and racking up these wins and preparing themselves to make a run here. And this is a great opportunity for them to be able to do that as returning national champions.
And another good one, Mineral Area versus Moberly. I believe this is round three, if memory serves me correct. It's at least round two. I know that Mineral has beat them at least once this season. Moberly has had so many close losses that they just haven't been able to get over the hump. Minerals kind of had the better of them the last couple of years, but maybe this is the night.
Yeah, again, another classic matchup, right? This is one that's been going on for a minute, and this is an interesting position for Mineral to kind of. I mean, I don't know how you don't say right the ship for somebody that's won as many games as they've won and lost as few as they've lost, but they had that really bad loss the other night, and then kind of the comebacker was also just like, it wasn't as impressive as you would have thought maybe coming off that loss. So I'm sure Coach Heyer has had some calm, collected discussions with his players, and they're going to come out fired up. And this is a big opportunity for them to get one. But for Moberly, they got to defend the home court here after the Indian Hills opportunity that slipped through their fingers. So again, this is a very important game for both teams.
Thursday night in a region that we don't talk a lot about, but Connor State, who leads the country in free throw percentage, um, travels to Tonkawa, who got off to a red hot start with Javante Campbell, one of the nation's leading scorers. Um, these are two teams that, along with NEO, I think those three teams could all get to the national tournament, and they're not going to be a popular draw. Nobody's going to be pumped to face the Oklahoma winner. So they probably don't get maybe the credit that they deserve. But this will be a really fun game Thursday night. And this is one that I'm really excited to watch.
Yeah, Connor State has shown through conference play that they are good. Unfortunately, their conference schedule didn't really set them up to get the recognition they maybe deserved early on. But Braden Hubbard is one of my favorite players in the country. He is talented, and his recruitment is going to blow the heck up here pretty quick now that there's a little more context to what he's been doing this year. Campbell is a guy though that on any given night can just smoke you for 40 and just run away with it. So should be a good one here and a good opportunity for Connors to maybe kind of continue to show that like, hey, we are really really good. Pay attention to us here. And Tonkawa, I guess I would probably call it an upset even though they're at home, but it's a tough team. They've got a lot of talent, and they can punch you in the mouth too. So this should be a good one to watch.
And Saturday, we got to punch you in the mouth Saturday as well, BG. We got,
Those are the best Saturdays.
if you don't get punched on the mouth on a Saturday watching JUCO, you're not doing it right.
What are you even
We got four good rivalry games. Highland Triton, and there's something nasty about that rivalry that I kind of like.
Yeah.
Triton I thought was a shoe in to win Region 24. The Region 24 tournaments always played in Highland. Highland upsets Triton last year, and I think this year's just brought a little bit of extra nastiness to that rivalry. Going to be a good one. Playing this one down in Downers Grove. Highland versus Triton. Maybe winner gets a nice bowl of French onion soup. How do you see this one down in Downers Grove?
Well, the first thing I have to do is apologize to our audience for you calling it Region 24 since it's
I'm,
Region
I'm sorry.
4.
Region 4. Subtract. Region
It's
4 used to play Region 24 to go to the national
true.
touch.
This is true.
That's
But yeah,
dying.
great rivalry. And it gives us another opportunity to talk about the firm there at Triton.
Of Aguilar, Connors, Dixon, and Williams. The
Aguilar,
firm.
Connors, Dixon, and Williams.
They're going to get 80
The firm.
points.
They are.
They're
They're
going to
going
put
to
up
get 80
80.
points.
Book
Um,
it.
Coach Luke Norman does a great job at Highland, and yeah, great rivalry. Just tough, good basketball, good players, good kids. Like this is these kinds of games are what NJCA is all about.
And I'll tell you what, it's a fun live stream. Whoever, I mean, I assume that it'll be just Triton, but whether you get this game and it's either the Triton live stream or the Highland live stream, you're going to get an emphatic call. This is a good game to watch. You're not going to get some kind of blah. We just turn a camera on and go back and forth. You're going to get some commentary. You're going to get some homerism. It's going to be a lot of fun. Whoever's on the call, I believe it's going to be AD Tim McKinney. We'll go down to Region 14. Blinn versus Lee. Lee somehow survived all of the upsets that happened last week in Region 14. We jokingly said that's why Region 14 can't have nice things. Panola and Trinity Valley both upset. This would be a big one for Coach Nick Wade to get to just really bolster that resume going down the stretch. As we record this, Lee already has 20 Division I wins, 21-3. I think they're sitting in a pretty good spot right now.
Yeah, I think Lee is making every case possible for being an at-large team. Um, they're probably even a little underappreciated right now. Region 14, kind of the last few years, has been a little up and down, and so I think there's just maybe even from a national perspective, not quite as much love on the good teams in that region. But you and I talked about earlier, this might be the best collective group of Region 14 teams we've seen in some time. And so, this is a big opportunity for Lee, because Blinn has some players now, and Blinn's got some coaching, and so you got to hold serve at home here, get the win, get out of there, move on. But Blinn is going to be upset minded, and we'll see what happens.
The best thing that could happen if you're a Region 14 fan is you need Lee to take off and run away with the thing.
Yeah.
Run the table. They need separation instead of these three teams just all jumbled up together. If Lee takes off, runs the season, loses somewhere in the region tournament, they probably get an at-large bid where I don't know that, Trinity Valley or Panola would. Now we'll talk about Region 24. Olney Central Vincennes, which has turned into a really heated rivalry. Olney had a great come from behind victory earlier in the season at the Dungeon. They now turn around. They play at the PE complex in Vincennes. Olney right now has a half game lead over the Trailblazers for first place in Region 24. This game is going to mean something. I think if Vincennes doesn't win the region or at least tie for the region, I think it could be very hard for them to get an at-large bid. So, I'm really interested to see how the Trailblazers bounce back, especially in a little bit of a new budding rivalry that's happened over the past 10 years down in Region 24.
Yeah, it almost speaks a little bit to how good junior college basketball is right now, how much parity there is as well. And I don't know, just making things up, that maybe that's because, the new portal and all that sort of stuff in Division I, there's just kind of better players that are looking for homes in junior college, where some of the big boys don't necessarily always, get all the best guys. And so, there's seems like a little bit more disbursement, because think about that. We're talking about Vincennes, who's been in the top 7 to 8 teams for a good part of the season, that like they have to do a couple things to really kind of lock in that at large bid. Well, that's because there's a bunch of dogs behind them, biting at their ankles to come and take that spot. And so, yeah, big opportunity here for Coach Franklin to just kind of establish again that foothold that he's had for a good part of the season here. And look, they had the loss earlier on in the or last week, I guess, against John A. Logan in overtime, right? Realistically, Vincent still, for my money, one of the best 7-8 teams in the country.
Yeah, you just
And
don't you just don't want to get into a situation where you lose 2 out of 3 going down the stretch, right? I mean, I think
no,
there
for
is,
sure, because
I
you're
think
right. I mean, anybody that's looking at it is going to start wondering about, like, hey, the regular season, if you don't win the regular season, how much do we look at for an at-large bid, and all that sort of stuff. Just eliminate those questions, go get the win.
handle your business, and I know that's what Coach Franklin is probably preaching right now. And we're going to end with what I think is the best rivalry in all of sports, which is the Southeastern Blackhawks against the Indian Hills Warriors. I don't think anything else needs to be said, but this is must-watch television, and these games usually go down to the wire.
Yeah, Indian Hills has been such an interesting team to watch this year, where there are some nights that they pull out a win, but they don't play well, and especially some head scratcher kind of games that they should dominate, and then they go out and they get a huge win against a really good team. I mean, I'd have to look at the Nielsen file to know for sure how many ranked teams they've beat this year, but I'm pretty
10,
sure it's towards
10.
10 ranked wins. That's
Yeah.
number one, right? That's got to be number one.
Barton now has 11.
Barton's
So,
pretty good.
just a quick recap: Barton 11-1, Indian Hills 10-4, South Plains 10-0. But those are the three.
Yeah, 10-4 against ranked teams. That's kind of like saying
Half your
Division
season.
One.
Yeah, half
Yeah,
your season.
half your season. That's like saying that you're 10-4 in quad one wins in the NCAA tournament. If you're 10-4 in quad one wins in the NCAA tournament, you're a top 8 seed
Yeah, and coaches get
in a
raises.
64 team tournament.
Yeah, yeah, coaches get raises for that, you
Yeah.
know?
So, it's but again, it's been just kind of weird for them where, if they were to come out and this was going to be a slugfest, I wouldn't be surprised, even playing at the Hellier Center. So, um, I'm really just kind of looking forward to hear more about Morgan Corner Three Cheeseburgers. That's near and dear to my heart, but going to be a great game. One of the best rivalries in all of sports, if not the best rivalry in all of sports, depending on who you ask around
Yeah.
here.
I mean, we watch so much Indian Hills basketball that if we were given a blank sheet of paper, I believe combined we could probably write down all of their sponsors.
If you got that blank
Capital
sheet of
Trucking,
paper,
Frederick
Schroeder
Funeral
Graphics
Homes.
is ready to put something on it.
That's right. Schroeder Graphics did that.
They did.
And that concludes the rundown. Stay with us when we come back. We're going to have head coach Kyle Fisher of the Butler Grizzlies.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. We are now in the spotlight. We are honored to have the Butler Grizzly head coach Kyle Fisher. The Butler Grizzlies coming off a big win at Hutch. Coach, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Hey, it's great to be here with you guys. Appreciate all you do for junior college athletics. Of course, all the junior college athletes. You guys have been a great voice for a lot of good people.
We appreciate it. This is a lot of fun. It's the best sport on earth, and it's so great to follow programs like Butler and all the great programs across the country. So let me try to do you a good service here and give you a proper introduction. 5th year at Butler, an amazing accomplishment. You've been in the top 4 in the Jayhawk all 5 seasons, 110 and 38 record overall. You made it to the Sweet 16 last year. Defeated Rhone State before losing to a Northwest Florida team. You got the program really trending in the right direction. You got a nice balanced team this year, 6 guys scoring 9.3 points or above. A lot to like about this team, but what do you like most about this Grizzlies basketball squad?
I think the thing that's really carried us throughout this year has been our defense and our rebounding. I think statistically, we're near the top of the league in field goal percentage D and points per game allowed. We're leading the league in defensive rebounding. Some of that's our defense. We make them miss. We have opportunities to go get them, but we also have a guy named Jermichael Stillwell, who's not a bad rebounder. Chris Richardson at 7 feet can eat him up, and Charles McClenahan does a good job inside for us. So I think our defense and rebounding has really been kind of a staple of this program for 5 years. And then as of late, the last 3 games, we've scored 84, 85, and 93. And it's taken some time, obviously, coming into this year, really high expectations for this group. Picked to win the league, preseason ranked, coming off of a really good year last year. But it was an entirely new team, all new pieces. We had Charles McClenahan back, Chris Richardson back, and those guys did their part as freshmen, but weren't major factors for us. So it was an entirely new team, and getting them all on the same page offensively has really helped us late in this semester, and hopefully we can continue that down the stretch.
How grueling is it to play, in the Jayhawk conference, night after night? It's a
Yeah.
it's a league with a lot of depth, and of course, Barton at the very top of the polls, right? I think they're 25-1 right now, but it's just not Barton. It's just not Barton and Hush. I mean, there's a lot of depth in the league.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when you look at the standings over the years, by this time there's a little bit of separation, but you go right down the list and you think, well, that team could probably win games in the national tournament. Not everybody's going to get that opportunity, but they're clearly top 25 caliber teams. And so like you said, the depth is remarkable. I think what makes our league so tough that not a lot of people acknowledge is that when you play 24 conference games, that means you have 12 true road games against Division Ones. You look at our team last year, we played 30 regular season games. We played 16 away from home. We had 14 true road games in our regular season and 2 neutral floor games. 15 of those were against Division One opponents. So not only are you playing really good teams, not only do you play a different style from one night to the next. There's all kinds of different styles in this league, but you have to go do it on the road. I don't know a lot about all the other regions, but how many teams of 30 games will play half of their games true road games? And still it really doesn't have any influence on the at-large selections or rankings or anything like that. You're on the road. You got to find a way to win on the road in this league, and beat really good people. So it's, like you said, it's a grind, and it can wear teams down. But obviously, it's what makes it so fun too.
Coach, I don't interject very often in these, but I'm going to, because that's a great point. That I think as the rankings accountability develops, which it is, you've seen I'm sure some of the communication about scheduling next year and all that sort of stuff. That idea of like playing on the road like that. I mean, you look at the Division One level and like that's massively meaningful. Winning on the road in the Big 12 is almost impossible.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, from the junior college context, the Jayhawk, the Region 8, Texas, like that's like your Big 12 of junior college. Those road wins are, really, really, really meaningful.
No question. You look at, every Sunday we're on the Nielsen file, looking at the rankings and the records and stacking them up. But there's I don't know what the answer is, but there's no column for home or road losses. And so we've got 8 road wins against Division One teams in our league. But that's not weighted in any way. I think that's I don't know what the answer is, but it just makes it challenging for the teams in our league. The advantage we have is we automatically have a lot of Division One games built into our schedule, which should, if you can win enough, it's going to help you late in the year for rankings and at-large selections.
Coach, don't worry. I know the guy that runs the Nielsen file. I'll talk to him, a little, but it's fine.
Maybe we add a column. We put it in that nice grizzly purple, road wins in purple. I like that.
Well, I guess
D1 road wins.
This year, I'd be happy to have in the history of my time at Butler, we've struggled on the road, so it would help us this year. But in the past, maybe we leave it off.
We hide that. We hide that column.
There you go.
I think you got some homework to do on President's Day, my man.
So you, Coach Fisher, you have coached at some of the best programs in the country. You've been at Eastern Arizona. You were a Gila Monster. You've coached with legendary junior college basketball coach Jay Herkelman at Coffeyville. You're developing your own legend here at Butler. What do you enjoy the most about coaching at the junior college basketball level?
Well, I think that you have such an opportunity to make an impact on people. I think that you only have a short amount of time with these guys, but the impact you can have should be great if you're doing it the right way. I think that the way that we play and the attitude that I hope my teams reflect is one that's all about winning, all about team. I think we say in our locker room all the time, for each other. And it doesn't always happen right away. Last year's team, I mean, it took us a while to be all in for each other. And when we did, we we ended up winning the championship. This team really seems to be turning the corner, but I think you can have an impact on young people. I enjoy being around young people all the time. Keeps me young. But that's what we do. Obviously, we want to win, but seeing guys get better, and get opportunities to go on to the next level, hopefully establish some good habits while they're here on and off the floor. I don't know that those relationships are as meaningful at the next level.
As we record this, I believe Barton is 25-1. You guys are 20-5. Callie and Hutchinson right in the mix, right? So there's 4 teams right now who I think have a very good chance at getting an at-large bid. I think the hardest part for a program like Butler is just getting to the national tournament. But when you think about your team and where they're at today, what do you need to see from this team to get back to the national tournament? And once you're there, have a chance to cut down the nets.
Yeah, we've obviously got 5 games to go. I think our offense has to continue to develop. It's been tremendous the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and really, I mean, we haven't shot a lot of threes. In the last 3 games, even though we've scored 84 or more, we've never made more than 3 threes. We've got to the free throw line. We had 50 points in the paint against Hutch. So we've been scoring and we've been efficient. We're around 50% the last 3 games. But at some point, you're going to need to start making some jump shots. It's just the nature of the game and the way it's called now. So we're going to continue to emphasize paint touches and attacking the basket, and we'll always defend and rebound. But at some point, we're going to need to make some shots, especially when you get to like a tournament format and you're playing back-to-backs. You got to make some shots.
For sure. Well, Coach, I get the honor of the last question.
Yeah.
Arguably, it's not even all that arguable. The most important question that we have during the interview here. This is the hard-hitting one. Okay.
Here you go.
So, if you could go back in time to the win at Hutch there, and you say, okay, that was a big one. That was a big win. We're going to do it upright tonight, boys. We're going to do something special to celebrate the victory. So you pull into the parking lot and you get the green and glow neon sign casting itself across the asphalt of Chili's. What are you ordering at Chili's?
Well, of course, I'm going to start with the bottomless chips and salsa.
Obviously.
But you have to get 2 salsas, okay? Because that salsa cup, I have a complaint. It's the salsa cup's too small. So I'll get 2 salsas with the chips and salsa. And then I'm probably going with the triple play, boneless things, the egg rolls, and chicken strips. There's no heavy on the chicken, but the rolls and the salsa, they do it for me every time.
Oh my gosh. Nick, I don't know as if we've had anybody throw a junk zone in midway through the game like that by ordering 2 salsa cups to start with.
Right. And that's really that in the triple play could be considered a side. So we're really going 2 sides, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like playing 2 point guards. It's kind of taboo, but I like it. You can't
like
have ball handlers on the floor. Can you have too many appetizers? I don't think you can.
Not
Now,
possible.
I'm going to give you a pro tip, Coach Fisher. Brian Burns at Triton came on last week. He's a big soup guy. Actually, 2 weeks ago was Coach Burns. Loves the soup. So what you do, you go in and you let him know right up front. The little ramekin of the salsa is not going to be enough. I need the cup of soup, but I need it filled with the salsa.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that way you get the salsa you need.
Yeah.
Because what if you get one of those really big chips and now you got to break the thing in 2 to get into the little ramen? Just give me the bigger bowl.
Yeah.
You guys got salsa as far as the eye can see. Your Chili's, for Pete's sake.
Bring me a bowl of the salsa.
There you go.
I'm Kyle Fisher. I'm the head coach of Butler Community College. Bring me a bucket of salsa when I ask for it.
All the appetizers, people.
I don't know if that would help me, but yeah.
What are you washing
probably not in Hutch. I don't think it would help you a lot in Hutch.
What are you washing that down with, Coach?
Ice cold water. Why not?
Oh,
you got to hydrate. That's a good
purity. He's an athlete.
It's that time of year. It's that time of year. Crawling to the finish line. Got to stay hydrated.
Yeah, you don't want to cramp up. So
hydration is key.
Yeah.
Drink water. All right, Coach. Well, we appreciate you coming on. That is it for Coach Kyle Fisher from Butler. Next, we go on to the grind.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. I am really excited to talk about the two guys that we're going to feature tonight. We'll start with the grind. We're going to feature Chris Impaka from Indian Hills, 6'9", 230-pound transfer from Frank Phillips. He's not originally from Frank Phillips. He's from the Congo, and he's had a great sophomore season. He's currently averaging 6 points, 9 rebounds a game. He's had 7 double-figure rebound games, including most recently when he got all the rebounds, 22 boards against the ranked Moberly Greyhounds. Tell us a little bit about Chris Impaka and what you like about him, BG.
Yeah, 6 points, 9 rebounds is not really the story on him. Been a year for Chris Impaka. There was some things that happened with administration and the coaching staff at Frank Phillips over the summer there that kind of said it was probably time to move on, and so he did, and fortunately found a great landing spot at Indian Hills. But right off the bat, a lot of trouble for Chris. Unfortunately lost his father right before the season started, and I just can't even imagine. Again, I do a lot of work, with players from Africa. I go to Africa myself, and you come over and you don't see your family for years, and you really don't have an easy way to communicate very often with them either. And so to lose your father like that, and then just kind of new environment, new town. He had a great support system at Frank Phillips, and now it's kind of restarting all that thing. Started off the season slow, kind of learning everything new, and for him to be doing what he's doing, where he's having a huge impact on a team that's playing very, very well, is just incredible. He's had a lot of hurdles to kind of overcome this year, and so Chris Impaka is, like we talked about last week, and we talk about, almost every week, a story that the NJCAA makes possible. The NJCAA makes the Chris Impaka story possible. And that's, part of what's so special about the NJCAA and junior college basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone that you root for sure. We're going to transition now to the show, talk about a former junior college basketball player really excelling at the next level. And that's left-handed Rob Whaley Jr., originally from CSI, now starring at UNLV in the Running Rebels, 6'7", 260 pounds from Farmington, Utah, averaging 7 and 3 on the season, but he's been double figures in the last two, 17 versus Fresno State, 16 versus New Mexico. And he's finally getting some minutes, double figure minutes in the last 14 games. And as the minutes have gone up, the production has been there.
I am more than willing to admit it when I'm wrong. I wasn't sure how much what he was good at was going to translate to that level. I mean, the Mountain West is eyeballing 6 teams making the NCAA tournament this year. And if you said, I'll bet you $1,000 that Robert Whaley is 6'7", I will tell you I'll take that bet, because he is not. But he is tough. He is an awesome kid, like elite human being kid. Fortunately got to spend some time around him at J48. And Barrett Peary, the assistant that recruited him to UNLV, is a good friend. And so he's had nothing but phenomenal things to say about Robert since he's been there. So, again, one of those stories, dad was an NBA player. Robert just needed an opportunity. The NJCAA was able to help him with that opportunity, and now he's turned it into something where he's going to be a major focal point of that team going forward and into next year. And so that's just really cool to see.
It's awesome. And UNLV has a great storied, really relationship with junior college basketball. So many great junior college basketball players have gone through the Running Rebel program. When we return, we're going to have our closing thoughts on what we call the sixth man.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. We are now going to go into our sixth man with our closing thoughts. Brandon, you know I love shooting. I've talked free throws before. Tonight, I want to hit you with some good three-point shooting facts.
Hey-o.
Did you know that NEO leads Division I NJCAA at 43.4% per game? That's crazy. They've made 175 on 7.6 made attempts per game. But then I was like, all right, well, 7.6 per game, that seems like a lot, but are there teams that are making more? So then my head immediately goes to, what's Triton doing? What's Coach Brian Burns
doing? What's the firm doing in Chicago?
What's the firm doing? So let me tell you what the firm's doing. They've hit 293. That's 118 more than NEO on 11.7 per game, and they're shooting 40.1% per game. So then I asked myself, can anybody do it better than the firm? And Joey Cantons down in Daytona raises his hand and says, hey, look at my Falcons. We've hit 326 this year. We're hitting 13 a game. Oh, by the way, we're shooting 38.1% as a team.
Imagine going into a game like having a pretty good feeling that they're going to hit 13 threes on us tonight, and we have to try and survive that.
On roughly 2 out of 5.
Yeah, that's
I guess the scouting report gets really easy, right? We better get a hand up. We better close out hard because they're going to let it rip.
I'm not sure if it matters. I mean, that's like the easiest scouting report of all time. Well, they're going to let it fly. Obviously, we got to close out. We got to get a hand up, and it didn't matter.
And
It's gone. Yosue's having it his way, and he's going to bury threes on you.
But 3 teams that could make it to Hutch. 3 teams that are going to be a problem because, historically the teams that win the national title shoot about 36%, need to shoot about 36% on the year to win the national tournament. There's 3 teams. Help you with your bracket a little bit right now. And I cannot believe that NEO is hitting 43% as a team. I mean, that's a crazy number.
There can't be a Division I team that shoots 43%.
There's no way. I haven't done the math, but I'll check and we'll get back to you next week if there is. But 43% is an insane number. So it's 13 a game.
I mean, there's a ton of teams that don't have a player that shoots 43% from 3.
Right.
Let alone the entire team averages 43%. I mean, that's obnoxious.
Good for the Norsemen. Good for the Norsemen.
Good for the Norsemen. Well, my sixth man is going to harken back to last week where Nick Nielsen ran himself a little poll about the best mascot in the NJCAA, which, let's be honest, basically becomes the best mascot in all of sports, because why wouldn't it? Winner of the poll, the Richland Thunder Ducks. So we got some Thunder Duck gear. The Thunder Duck, his name is Mobius. Again, once we found that out, it was, we got to talk about him a little bit more. Look at that logo. Look at how clean that logo is.
So sharp.
Mobius right there in the middle. So we start to dig a little bit more into Dallas Richland and come upon Taven Washington, a sophomore, 6'4" guard from Frisco, Texas, who's averaging 19, 7 rebounds, couple assists, shooting 38% from three. He's super highly effective from the field. And so started to watch a little bit of film on him, and this kid's a baller. And so going to watch a little bit more film on him. So shout out Taven Washington for leading the way. The Thunder Ducks ranked, I believe, number 9 right now, going into this coming week in the Division III standings. So go Thunder Ducks, go Mobius, go Taven Washington. Going to learn a little bit more about you, and appreciate the swag.
And we also found out that the men's soccer program won 6 national titles in a row. And around those parts, they call that a Duck dynasty.
Hey-o.
And that's all for tonight's show. We can't top that. Hope you enjoyed the show, Brandon. Hope you enjoy a great week of junior college basketball. Look forward to seeing you same place, same time next week.